Welcome to the show, Jimmy Traynor. You are a producer, editor, and director of films. You are CEO of Traynor4Films, also a writer of books and scripts. Your website headline is "The Greatest Filmmaker You've Never Heard of." So I want to get into that a little bit as well with you. It's fantastic to have you on the show, Jimmy. Please do tell us more.
Well, the title for that actually came from an article that was written about me in Film Threat. When I went out to California, I used to make movies all the way back to VHS, dubbing them from VCR to VCR. So I've been around for like 33 years. And I met this producer and he was like, "Hey, send your movie to Film Threat. This guy will review it." He hated it with a passion. I mean, to the level of he had to call me up and he said, "Jimmy, I've never written a review so bad that I felt compelled to call a person up and apologize."
Right.
And I was like, "Man, this is my first review. Any publicity is good." So I was happy. And he was like, "Whoa, wait a minute. Well, then send me more stuff." And that was a prison movie, Moneybound. So I sent him this Christmas movie and this Alien movie. And when he watched them, then he got inspired to write The Greatest Filmmaker You Never Heard of, because he became a fan of me watching my other movies. Because you know how it is. You make so many movies, not everybody's going to love them.
Yeah, sure.
But when he watched the other ones, he was like blown away, because the Christmas movie was like a kid's Christmas movie. And then this Alien movie was me using trash bags as aliens. And so his mind was just like blown. And he actually, after that article, he wrote a couple books about indie filmmakers, and I'm actually in his book.
Oh, wow. Okay.
But there is an article that is titled that, Jimmy Traynor, the greatest filmmaker you never heard of, and you can still get it on Film Threat.
Who inspired you?
I think movies in general. Actually, the honest truth is myself, because people don't know it, but I'm the most shyest person you will ever meet. I can't even talk to you on the street, but when I'm filming, I'm God. So it's like a Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde.
Yeah.
This was the only way I could actually get my voice out, because I had all these stories going. And, when you're making movies, just like music and everything, if you don't have the balls to tell people what to do, you ain't going to get no product.
Yeah.
So
That's right.
I'm like a totally different person when it comes to filming. I'll throw Spielberg off my set if he gets in my way, So that's and I love that. And so really, I mean, not to be self-absorbed, but my inspiration is myself, to try to, that's the only way I can get my voice out.
Right. You like supervising.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I've always been a lover of movies, actually up until I would say, the 2000s, any movie before that, I knew every single one by heart. I was like a encyclopedia of movies. Didn't matter whether they were comedies, horrors, whatever. I watched everything. Not that I really learned from them. I loved the aspect of not knowing what's going to happen and the story unfolding, something coming together. I used to love puzzles when I was a kid, because it wasn't about putting the pieces together. It's seeing another product afterwards. It's a change, you do the work and then you have something else. That's the intrigue with me, is what's going to come of it. And to be honest, even when I do movies nowadays, I might write a script. People's like, "Do you actually have an envision?" I don't have an envision when I film it. I don't have an envision when I edit it. I envision it when it's done, because it could change that.
Yeah.
You can always have 10 different versions. Same thing with music. You play it faster or slower, you're going to have a different product. So you wait until you actually step back and say, "That's it. This is the final." And that's when you actually have your vision. In my opinion, like I said, everybody works differently.
That's right. Tom?
You've been a filmmaker for a number of years now. What sort of time frames do you give yourself when you're doing a project? Do you kind of have an idea of like, this is going to take X number of months, or do you just, it takes as long as it takes, and whatever idea you come up with, you just run with it, as you kind of alluded to there, until you've done enough tweaks that you've reached the final product? Or do you try and restrict yourself to, "I'm going to have this completed in 6 months, a year, whatever it is"?
There's no time limit, but one of the best ones is Alien Parasite. I was going to green screen the whole feature. Going to have had 5 dogs in the house, so I knew I had to put voiceovers in the whole movie. Right. So when I went to cast that movie, actually I casted it before I even wrote it, because, I'm Jimmy Traynor. It don't matter. But when I had the actors come in, I
Mm.
had them come back for like a second callback, and I told each one of them, I said, I don't want to do this movie. And they're all looking at me like I'm crazy, right? And I
Right.
was like, if all of you want to do it, then I'll do it. But you guys don't understand. You're going to film for 5 days. It's going to take me a year to edit it. So
Yeah.
it's a lot of investment. Little did I know that movie would take me 4 years in post and almost have me drive. I mean, my ex would come over and she said, I want to throw your computer out the. I was literally going insane. But I
Mm.
always finish, but it took 4 years, a year and a half for the
Right.
voiceovers because the entire feature. I never did that before.
Mm.
And but all movies, I mean, we all got life. So you can't really have like, oh, I'm gonna finish this in a month.
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
know, I
Right.
was actually working at a factory like 10 to 12 hours a day and then coming home and doing that movie. So for 4 years for that one movie, I didn't do nothing but be in front of my computer.
Yeah.
Was it worth it? It
Mhm.
turned out pretty good, but not, I don't say that it was worth 4 years of my life,
Yeah.
But then there's some
Wow.
that they just like we went up to Pennsylvania to do a movie and some of the actors didn't show up. So we ended up doing a quick 8 minute thing called Time's Up in a barn. Took 4 hours, but it is just special.
Mm.
It is just it's an action film. We even voted on who was going to die,
Yeah.
because everything was
Short and
just made
sweet
up,
too.
Yeah.
you know.
Yeah.
But you never know. I mean, you can work as hard as you want on something
Yeah.
and problems come up. So there's no time frame.
Yeah.
But I do pride myself on I've done like 170 some movies. Only six of them I didn't finish, and they were the six that I collaborated with people and they kept the footage because I always finish it.
Right.
Because you never, like I
Okay.
said, you never know. I recently pulled out old movies that's been like 23 years old. Nobody's
Mm.
seen them. Put them up on the internet. They got 33,000 views.
Yeah.
They're
You
old
never know.
VHS
Man.
movies.
You
You
never
never know
know.
what people are going to actually like.
Very true.
So you get distribution from like Netflix and all them?
No, never got distribution. And that right there gives me like heartaches because when I did the Alien movie, I had a lot of distributors coming after me. But they're like, Jimmy, we can't distribute your movie because you put it out. And I was like, if I didn't put it out, you wouldn't have known about it and then didn't
Yeah.
contact me. So it's
Right.
like a double-edged sword.
Wow. Yeah. So yeah. Yeah.
Everybody always gets on me. Why do I give my movies out for free and all that? The honest truth is, guys, I got so many stories and I don't want them to die with me. And if I hold the movies
Okay.
like and say I make a couple of dollars by people getting my movies and maybe I get like 100 people watching it, I'd rather have 1,000 people watch it and enjoy it,
Mm.
you know?
Right.
So, I mean, do I want to make the money? Yes. Have I ever made no money? No. So,
It's all right. That could happen.
yeah.
Um, um, so who do you use for your music?
Well, I had a couple different composers over the years, but like I said, mine is no budget. So usually they kind of like volunteer the music and stuff like that. There's a couple of them that's kept with me for years. They would like every couple of years come back and say, Jimmy, you need any music? Actually, the one for the Alien movie, the composer worked with me a couple different times over like a 10-year period. But he's like, hey, I got paid jobs, but you can use my, stock footage. So I did, and his mind was blown. He was like, man, it's like I scored your movie when I didn't because I just used his stock in there.
Yeah.
But, it advertises him, advertises me. Sometimes I got to make my own music, and I am not musically inclined. Usually you use music to cover up or speed up a scene. You
Hmm.
don't want it to hinder it. And a lot of times people can't get that rhythm to actually blend it. But I use whatever I can use. The only problem I ever had is like I get people to sign off on the music, and it basically says when you put music in my movie is it's your music. It's not mine. You could sell it to whoever. Just don't come to me 10 years later and tell me I got to take it out of my movie. That's it. Right. But I've
No.
had
Yeah.
movies that I put up on YouTube that they got flagged for the music that I have release forms for, So
Yeah.
that's the only trouble that comes in because they're like, but I like, look, I got a release form. Tell them to stop
Yeah.
flagging, you know.
Yeah.
That's the touchy thing. That's why a lot of people,
Yeah.
I think filmmaker wise, I've actually seen other movies that they finished the whole feature and like one song didn't get signed off and the whole movie was dead. because the people,
Oh, wow.
the
Okay.
musicians
Yeah.
blackmailed them to where they're like, you're gonna pay us a lot of money or you can't use it. Me personally, I don't know why they just didn't, voice over that and put other music in, but they basically let their movie die for literally 1 minute of music.
That's
So
crazy.
there are a lot of good collaborations, but just like anything else, there's a lot of bad ones. You always got to get
Yeah.
everybody to sign off and everybody to know, what's going on. Like right now, I was helping a couple of filmmakers in Germany, and I was like, "Look, it's your movie. I'll help out. I signed my own release form to you. All I'm doing is helping. I have no rights in your movie whatsoever
Mm.
because you always got to
Mhm.
cover your butt." And I tell them that too.
You
You know,
ain't lying. You ain't lying, brother.
yeah.
Tom?
Just want to know, Jimmy, how big your presumably there is a team behind what you do, or is it just yourself doing everything?
It's me.
It's just you. Okay,
It's
all
just me.
right.
Yeah,
Wow.
it's
Okay, and
just
that
a lot of times I'll have one or two people that are helping filming,
yeah.
but other than that, they rotate. But yeah, it's just me. I've actually filmed one time to where I had two cameras, two lights, the boom. I'm doing all that. Plus, I was in the movie too,
Oh
and then,
wow.
so I had to tell the actors, "Hey, wait a minute, you're not on screen. Hold this boom real quick." you know, and that it
That
sounds
seems
funny, but that's how I work, and that's why a lot of times I don't audition actors. I tell them, "Come in and say a couple lines," because I
yeah.
need them to see how I work. So when we're
Mhm.
doing something bigger, they understand that, hey, we got a crew, but if they don't show up, I don't stop. We're
Yeah.
doing it.
Yeah.
You know.
You can do it. You just gotta
Yeah,
get
they're
on and do
part of
it.
the crew, whether they like it or not.
Got you. Got you.
Yeah,
Show
yeah,
must go on.
Absolutely. Yeah, for
yeah.
sure.
Every day.
For sure.
And
Yeah.
that's the reason why, guys,
Um,
I got 170 movies. Everybody starts something,
Hmm.
but when them problems arise, like they don't collaborate well or arguments or people don't show up, then they postpone and they postpone and then nothing ever gets done. I got 170 movies because when I'm there, we're filming something
Gonna happen.
and
Yeah,
I'll
yeah.
take care of it in post because I'm a great editor.
Yeah.
So I'll make everybody look good.
right.
Yeah.
But because you're going to learn from everything you do.
Yeah. That's very true. Very true. You've done this for a number of years now. Do you feel technology wise things have actually progressed for you that's benefited the way you create your films, or for yourself has nothing really changed? You kind of just do it the way you do it, or has there been sort of benefits in different technological kind of advancement?
Well, actually, yeah, some of them old movies that I've been digging out, when I put them into my computer, naturally they were edited on VCR. So I'm editing them up and tightening the movies up
Mm,
because of the technology. When I did the Alien movie, that Alien movie, I was up to 160 movies, and to be honest, I didn't think I could learn anymore. That's why I casted it without even, I before I even wrote it. But
yeah.
I learned so much on that movie,
Mm.
to where I had a blonde lady that was the star in front of a green screen. You guys don't understand. That's why it took me 4 years. She didn't have a head.
Can't
For
mix
four
the
years,
two.
she didn't have a head. People don't know this, but when you see her on screen, there are
Wow.
10 layers of her head pieced together so
Oh,
Yeah,
she has a head.
that's it.
But
so
people don't know
you
that.
have
They just
good.
look at it and be like, oh, it looks okay. No, there are 10 layers on her head
Yeah.
on every scene. So, and I put her in a spacesuit that was chrome that reflected the green. So sometimes she don't have a body.
You had to fix
Wow.
all of that in
Wow,
in
man.
post production, then presumably.
Right. So after I figured out and years of learning how to do that, basically I did this little snake movie and we were filming and I did have a crew at that time on that movie and the light was blown out. So the guy that was doing the interview, he didn't have a head. And they're like, he's so blown out in front of the green screen, he ain't got a head. I was like, he'll have a head when the movie's done. Just film it. Because I knew so
Yeah.
Wow.
much, nothing. I basically now do movies to test myself because there
Yeah.
is no limits.
Nice.
What
Excellent.
what information would you give to inspire young people that want to be filmmakers?
Just do it. Just do it. If you wait, if you think about it, anything you do when you think about it, that's when doubt comes in.
Yeah.
Just do it.
Mm,
And the best thing is I've had people early that online and stuff like that. Like I did Real Cupid. I thought it was my best movie ever at the time. And that made me realize it doesn't matter if I make the best thing in the world. Some people are going to love it. Some people are going to hate it. That's the thing that
Yeah.
stops a lot of people is the reviews, is the
Can't please
criticism.
everyone. Yeah, no.
Once nothing criticizes, all you do is, if I like it, I'm going to do it. If it goes somewhere, it does. If it doesn't, you know. With the Alien movie, I had another producer that wanted to do it, and I kind of pushed him out by saying, look, this is how it is. I'm going to spend about $2,000. If you want in, you got to realize, what is it worth to you to lose that $2,000? To me, it's worth seeing the movie done. Now, despite I didn't know it was going to take 4 years, but it was worth the $2,000 of losing because I knew I wasn't going to probably get distribution and all that.
Yeah.
So it was worth that. 4 years, we'll have to talk later about that one.
Man, it does take some time.
Yeah.
Tom?
Cool. Other than your website, obviously I've been on your website and I can see obviously the films you've done there are free for people to watch. How do you kind of promote what you do? Is it purely sort of YouTube and stuff like that? How is the promotion? How is the way you do the promotion?
Actually, through my website, because to be honest, I write, I direct, I edit, I do everything, but that doesn't mean I'm good at everything. I'm not good at marketing. I use the Facebook, but that doesn't work too well. I think LinkedIn is the best for contacting back and forth people. Right now, a lot of my movies are getting a lot of play on YouTube by not advertising them. The more I put them on YouTube and Facebook, the less views they get. If I just put the movie up and don't tell anybody, I guess the algorithm pushes it out and I get more views.
Yeah.
I have no answer for that because, like I said, I try to do everything, but I'm not good at everything. So, and I don't know marketing or promotion. I just want eyes on my movies, you know?
Yeah.
Fair enough.
Brother, I want to thank you for the privilege of your time today, man.
Hey, I appreciate it. Like I said, actually, the podcast that I started was because of LinkedIn and writers and stuff like that. If I didn't do that, I probably wouldn't be doing this. So, you know, so me doing my podcast made me more comfortable in order to, hey, if you want me on your show, just give me a time.
You never know who's listening. Even if they only got 4 people, that one person that you've been looking for might be listening to you.
I totally agree with that. That's what I tell everybody on my podcast. It only takes one. But yeah, and I agree with you with that too, because the way I edit my movies are really tight. So when I did my podcast, I don't just throw it up there. I actually go through the podcast and take out all the this and that. So they're a hard edit too, you know?
Yeah.
So,
yeah.
But it's like my brand, you know, I want the things to go quick and be entertaining.
Everybody does.
Yeah.
Yeah, man.
I appreciate it. I appreciate you guys reaching out to me, and please definitely put my website in the bio or whatever.
That's what Tom's gonna get all your socials so we can spread the love.
Yeah, just gonna grab that from you now, Jimmy. So basically, for our viewers, what's the web address that people can go off and see your content?
Well, you could pretty much find anything of mine just by putting in Traynor4Films. And just make sure you spell it right.
Number 4 films. Yeah. Indeed.
Yeah. I used to have a lot of different names, but I tried to brand this one for a lot of times. That way it's easier for people to find me.
Yeah. All right. Well, we'll put the links in the bottom here in the description anyway, so people go off and click those and check it out.
Thank you, sir.
Pleasure.
All the best, brother. Thank you.
You too.
Thank you so much for watching. To stay up to date, please click subscribe and hit the bell. You can also join our group on Facebook and find us on LinkedIn and Instagram.